thought that was cool. So we're here to review Ironheart, the full series. The full season that's released. Not the first 3 episodes. If you've seen my other video, I was very upset at IGN. They released a scathing 5 out of 10 mediocre review wherein in their subtitle they said that she had daddy issues, or more than just daddy issues, to be precise. And it was last week, only the first 3 episodes had been released. The review was very detailed in that it definitely read in a way that would spoil the experience of watching the show. It didn't give direct details about exactly what happens, but it mentioned the ending and talked about how it was lackluster compared to the middle, and it did its due diligence to ruin any potential support for the thing. And that's annoying. I'm holding this because this is my axolotl, and I have a new YouTube friend who has axolotl stuff in their name, and I'm not gonna friggin' be like everybody just in case, I don't know, but I don't want to be weird. But I usually have this in my vicinity. I just got it out of the wash. I was homeless for a while, and it was in a suitcase, and so I wanted to wash it. So it's washed. So now I can use it again. Use it. I don't know. It's comforting. Anywho, Ironheart, I'm gonna spoil it, so sorry. I really, really like the direction that Marvel's going in, especially this year. I think Captain America and Ironheart exemplify a change in paradigm, I guess you could say, for how Marvel scripts their shows and movies, and I like it. I've been talking about this Riverdale video that I plan to do, but one of the reasons why I love Riverdale so much is because it builds on its premise with every season. Despite going into places that are very tonally and structurally different than the seasons before, it builds on the lore very well while also using pieces from the comic books to provide worthwhile references for fans while building on what the audience can expect from the thing. In a way that I think is very beneficial if you're trying to go over the top. I think people talk about Riverdale like, oh, it jumped the shark, but it didn't. It had 7 seasons, and each of those seasons was completely different than the last one. It completely succeeded at what it was trying to do. I think Supergirl does the exact same thing, is the reason why I love it so much. I'm going to look at some more CW shows now, because I feel like they really nailed that formula at a time where it almost felt like they and other studios were trying to copy the Marvel formula. I feel like CW exemplifies it and actually did it in a way that Marvel can use now. Basically what I'm talking about is in Captain America, the entire plot revolves around, I almost said Brainiac, oh my god. His name's on screen, because I can't think of it. There's a lot of these thinkers and riddlers and in the second Marvel movie of the MCU, Incredible Hulk, there's a guy that helps them. His code name is Mr. Blue, I think is cool, and that's the song that's playing in the movie whenever he attacks people, or when he's using his mind control stuff. But basically he gets a gamma exposure in his brain, and it makes him even smarter than he was. He is the main villain in Captain America, Brave New World, and has to do with the whole Red Hulk situation. It's utilizing a character that maybe people didn't expect to see, but someone who is deep within the lore of the MCU, because the MCU is big enough to rival itself, its source material, the comics that it comes from. In the comics, you're going to have characters who are referencing past situations especially when you have legacy characters that pass on the torch. Their children and things typically deal with the children or associates of past people, and I think that's what the MCU has needed to start doing for a really long time. It wants to keep adding in these new big things and up the stakes, up the stakes, up the stakes. I think there's enough villains in every corner, there's enough genres that they've introduced that they can just start pulling from their legacy stuff. And I think that's how you do it. You don't just add new stuff all the time. You stack and you know, incrementally increase. Having that recognizability, we understand how Gamma works, we understand how Hulks work. We've had a few different properties with these characters coming together. We had She-Hulk, wherein we caught up with Abomination, and we understand that people are able to become Hulks now. They've built on it to the point where if you decide that you would just like to read or go back through just the Hulk movies, you can watch Incredible Hulk, you can watch She-Hulk, you can watch all of the Hulk appearances in the various movies. If you wanted to skip around, or just like the Avengers series on its own, you'll get all of Banner's story, and then you can go into Captain America Brave New World. Oh, you don't know what happened with Captain America? Go back and watch those movies, just like you could go back and read those comic books. It needs to be big enough and expansive enough that it references itself, not that it's just this ever-expanding ball of crap, because that's what capitalism wants to do, is just up the stakes, because we'll just make more money if we just do Endgame again. And it's like, no, and I think that's what they were trying to do for the last few years, was just try to figure out ways to get us excited about brand new stuff. I think you can do that the way that Ironheart does that. Getting back to my actual subject here, Ironheart does that very, very well, in that it introduces magic, which is referencing Agatha, which is referencing WandaVision. And then on the other side, we also have the situation with Obadiah Stane and his son Ezekiel Stane, because that's the Iron Man section of things. So if you're interested in the Iron Team, you can just watch the Iron Man movies, maybe Avengers if you want to, but you can pretty much enjoy this by understanding the roots of the concepts that they're bringing up. And I think that is what will continue the longevity of this series. It needs to feel like a soap opera. It needs to feel like a comic book. It needs to mention itself in different places. I love the whole Dormammu thing, and I love that we finally have Mephisto. I love that the music Sting played when he said his name, and then she's like, is that supposed to mean something to me? Because they understand that in 2020, we were sitting there, 2020 or 2021, I think it was 2021, in 2021, we were sitting there, Disney Plus, first few weeks or whatever, watching WandaVision, finally getting back into Marvel after all these years, after a singular year, which felt like hell. We were online talking about Mephisto, waiting for this dude to show up, and he never shows up. So he's here. It's momentous because it references itself, yes, but it adds something to the story in a way that's like, oh, that makes sense. It's cool that they've combined this technology with magic. It's cool that we're referencing these things not just to reference them, but because to tell a story, you need people to understand the stakes and understand all the characters. And when something is so big, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you need to take notes from the comic books and how they do things. They don't always add in new stuff. Sometimes it's the same character with a different costume. You get what I mean? Sometimes it's the same power set, but it's slightly different because this was their mom or this was their friend. That is helpful to the reader and thematically rewarding, the fact that we're seeing these characters develop into other people. I love the stakes. I love the ending. I won't give away exactly the end of this, but I love the choice that she's given, and I love that characters don't always seem to be completely okay with their choices, because that's how people are. I think that there's a tendency to have things end with a happy ending or something that seems satisfying because we're thinking about the audience so much when things are getting made these days, and I really like that they were willing to allow characters to end up in places where we want to see them again. thick or thin. You know what I mean? That it doesn't feel settled, because it shouldn't feel settled. It should feel like an issue of comics in which we're gonna come back next season or next week and get some more issues. I think that's absolutely what they need to be doing. I think it's wonderful. I think Thunderbolts does a similar amount of that, although a good chunk of it, minus the characters themselves. I think Thunderbolts itself is that concept that I'm talking about, that we're utilizing all of these people. If you want to do a Suicide Squad movie, you don't just introduce everybody in that one movie and then expect us to understand that they're bad people, but also good people, but also this, but also that. I think you can bring in your various baddies and put them together in a team, and that is the work that has to happen after 15 ish years. I don't know how long we've been doing this now. It's been a while. After a lot of years, more than 10, of building characters. You bring characters together, you mix and match them, and I think that's it. I think they've introduced enough people that I'm not saying we don't need any new characters at all, but I think that they could go a long way with literally just mixing and matching interesting character dynamics and using that alone to tell whatever stories they need to tell for the next 10 years. I think they could do that, and I think that would keep things as fresh as possible, because I don't think fresh means mind-blowing new concepts. We've got the Earth level stuff, we've got the street level stuff, we've got Wakanda, we've got space, we've got the espionage genre, we've got horror and the magic genre. You've covered your bases. You can tell any kind of story you want to tell, and we'll have something to connect us automatically to what you're trying to say, so that we don't have to go back and explain everything. You've done it. So I don't think that there needs to be this new and different push constantly from stuff. I think it is not about being nostalgic. I think it is about being clever with your storytelling and having somebody come back that you haven't thought about in a long time, who is exactly who should be the one with that particular vendetta, holding that particular gun. That is what makes great comic books. And so I'm really, 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 really excited at the direction they're going. I guess the other part would be the reception of the show, but I think it doesn't matter what shitty, stupid people think. This is an amazing show. Great 6 episodes. Episode 4 is definitely my favorite. They did a good job cutting it into 2 parts. It was easy to sit down and watch 3 episodes last week. It was easy to sit down and watch 3 this week. It felt like I just watched 2 movies, had 2 little movie nights. I really like that release, and I think they opened it very well. Episode 4 added enough and changed so many things. It was great. Episode 5 had amazing action, some of the best fight scenes that I've seen in these handful of Marvel shows. I haven't watched Daredevil, the new one. I haven't watched that. But yeah, great. I thought especially the emotions, the emotional depth of every character between Riri and between the Hood. I felt like I could completely, I don't know. I think what it is that I like the way that things are being written now. I think like I said, there was a minute where it felt as though they were thinking about the audience and wanted to make characters that the audience would like or relate to directly, in a way that every person wants to be their best self. So we kind of want to see characters being their best selves. I like when you hear someone think something, or someone you like makes a decision that you don't like at all. I think a healthy balance is important. I don't think it needs to piss you off the whole time. I've been thinking about rewatching Being Mary Jane, and I'm like, I don't remember really enjoying many of the decisions made by that character, despite how much I loved them. I was just upset the whole time. But I'm older now, so like maybe I'll relate a little bit more. But I'm just saying that it's relevant when people make decisions you don't like, because that's what makes them people. in my writing, I'm trying to do that. Make sure that my characters are doing things that I don't enjoy that they're doing. You know what I mean? That the audience wouldn't necessarily enjoy, but could understand why that decision might be made, as well as it's important for them to fail. It's important for them to try to do stuff, have a good plan, and still that plan falls apart for some reason, whether that's them or the people that they associate with or whatever. That straightforward, let's get to like things work out, let's just tell the story, I think is very tempting. And I think it's easy to print movies quickly if that's the mindset that you're going by, because your audience can just sort of sit there and just enjoy themselves. But the only reason why Endgame is because Infinity War made you cry and wait a year to find out what happened. That's why, so it matters to have those stakes. It matters to have that drama. It matters to really, tell a story that's gonna make you cry, that's gonna make you not necessarily happy. And I feel like that's what happened. There was things that happened, especially in this second half of the show, that I don't know. I figured that she would end in a place that felt more final. And I think because of the way that they've done these shows, they want them to stand alone. And so I feel like they've made them all feel final. This doesn't feel final at all. It feels like, when's the next episode? And that's the point. And I love it. I love that so much. And I'm sorry that a lot of people are going to miss out on it because of review bombing, because of intentional sabotage by companies and things like that, and because of racism and because of sexism. I think that's just really, really upsetting, that so much art is just being overlooked for that reason. But I stand by it. Like I said, I think Thunderbolts was fine, but Captain America is it's still at the top of my list. I don't think it's been topped yet for the year. Wicked hasn't come out yet, so I don't think I'm gonna have a better experience at the movies necessarily. Although I am going to see Jurassic Park soon, so that might do it. I don't know. The trailers look really cool, and I love dinosaurs, so that'd be awesome to have a mind-blowing, viewing experience for that. But we shall see. But yeah, Captain America I think was really, really awesome. If you guys missed that one, please go check it out. Super fun, super campy, nice, hokey spy kind of movie, and it had all the beats. It had the beats in exactly the right places. It had Giancarlo Esposito talking about his plan and then stepping out of the room while a big old heavy steps in and to fight the hero. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good. So yeah, definitely check those out. Definitely check out Ironheart. Screw anybody that tells you it was mediocre or didn't try or anything like that. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But if you're talking about it was bad and was poorly put together or sloppy or anything like that, no, I'm sorry. That's just not. I have a degree in visual effects and animation. I'm not trying to appeal to authority. I'm just saying I understand how this stuff gets made. And this was competently made enough that the art shined through, that its unique choices were the lasting impression. There are things that just exist, like the Emoji Movie, that just sort of happened. And all art is art, but it's hard to feel or figure out where the art came from or what they were looking to say about it. This is not that at all. This is not a paint-by-numbers Marvel property. I don't think any of them have been, except for the only thing, really honestly, the only thing in Marvel, period, the only thing that the MCU has released that is terrible is Secret Invasion. That's it. I'm saying that with all fucking authority. I don't care. Secret Invasion is the only thing that the MCU has ever made that is terrible. Not because it was terrible from start to finish, but because you could tell the effort wasn't on the screen. How many just boxed hallway shots they had for stuff was okay, you guys didn't want to pay any money for locations. What are we doing? That ending with the power swapping and the arm. You know what I'm talking about. Sloppy. It was thrown together. Its story could have been amazing, and the Skrulls are like my favorite thing. I didn't know who Thanos was. I thought there was a purple Skrull on screen at the end of Avengers 1. That's what I thought. I saw the chin, and I was like, it's the Skrulls. And I was mad when I found out it wasn't the Skrulls, because I wanted to be the Skrulls. And then the Skrulls showed up in Captain Marvel, and I was happy. They're good guys, and that's fine. But it's awesome that they were invading and taking people. So, okay, so you're an invasion. There's this faction of Skrulls that are doing that stuff. Rock on, let's do it. And then they threw that thing together. Damn. Watch Secret Invasion. Watch it. Watch that show. If you're one of those people that hasn't necessarily watched all these different things, but you want to know where the bar is, watch Secret Invasion. If there's something that feels like that, if you watched any of them and you felt like that, then fine, I'll give it to you, because everybody's opinions are different. I'm not saying that my opinion is the right one here. I am simply saying that that show was, and I understand why people consider it to be bad, because as a program, as a story, as visual effects, as all the things that it needed to be, it did not do any of that stuff in a way that was competent enough that you had a satisfactory experience. I don't care what you think about Ant-Man 3. It was a movie. You went to see it. It was alright. You went home. Even if it's not your favorite thing. It's not my favorite thing, but it wasn't bad. You know what I'm saying? The fact that we love to throw that around. People go, Eternals was bad. It was just super, super different. And you don't like things that are different, and that's okay. That was the most unique of all the Marvel movies that had happened up to that point, and kind of still is, visually at least. It was different. Was it a bad film? Was it incompetent? Did it not tell a story? Did it, you know what I'm saying? There are movies that you leave and you go, fuck, that was, damn, you know? Or movies that you loved as a kid that you watch as an adult. Aragon, I watched that movie back to back to back as a kid. I wore out that DVD. That movie is shallowly written. Let's say. You know what I mean? At the very least, it's shallowly written. For an adult. Alright. None of them, not one Marvel movie is like that. Not one. Not a single one. You know what I'm saying? So when we really act like the bar is just in hell because they've just been making bad movies. I went to see Shang-Chi and I didn't have fun at any point during the picture. That's just not true. That's not true. That's a lie. You know what I'm saying? Like we're lying about the quality of stuff because of the consistency or whatever. Because people want to be sad and miserable. But I want to actually enjoy art. I really like it. Art's really fun. So go watch Ironheart. That is a work of art.